Welcome to Between Two Clinicians, the podcast that gives you a backstage pass into the mind of two therapists. I'm Talia.
I'm Adam Luke. We've spent years helping others navigate the complexities of their minds and relationships.
In this podcast, we're flipping the script, and we're sharing our own unfiltered insights. No topic is off limits, and no issue too taboo. We're ready to tackle the tough stuff with honesty and empathy. Let's dive in. Hello, we're back.
Well, hello.
After a long hiatus, a lot of life has happened since we were last with you all, viewers and listeners.
Absolutely. It's funny because in reality, it's like only a couple weeks, but it does always feel like when we get out of the groove, it feels like a month.
I think it has been, though.
I think you are correct.
Yeah.
This is actually perfect about our topic because I can't tell time. That's
very apropos for the life-work balance of what to do this. Yes. Yeah. So today's topic is, I call it life-work balance. Other people call it work-life balance. I believe that neurolinguistic shift is important. As a reminder, what am I doing the work for is to afford, in any sense of the word, my life. It's not to, I don't live to work. I work to live. It's those kinds of, what are they, mantras, I guess you would say, or
absolutely.
Like.
I think that what I like is the emphasis is put on the first thing, which is life. Right?
Yes.
When we say work-life balance, it almost feels like we give power to that other thing. Mm-hmm. You know, and something that you and I were having a conversation on before we hopped on here is like sometimes it almost feels like a successful life is actually one where it's just active disassociation. Yeah. Like success is weird because we can define it in a state of busyness. That doesn't actually mean that we've made any difference. One of my favorite Denzel Washington quotes is, "Do not mistake busyness for success because you can run in place." And I was like, wow. Like, yeah, you're right. And I think that that's a situation that, especially in Western culture, we really struggle to navigate. Mm-hmm. We like the humble brags, saying how busy we are, yet no time to take care of ourselves.
And how much of our busyness in that case, or people like, oh, it's been such a grueling week. Some of it comes, I think all of it stems from time management or lack thereof. If I'm busy and my cup is overflowing with everything I love and enjoy, but I'm also overbooked and have no free time to even think or be with myself, that's one problem. The other side of that, in a positive sense, is my cup is overflowing with everything I love. I haven't overscheduled myself. I'm leaving space for what else can come up in life. I'm not jam-packing it as a way to, like you said, kind of show like, oh, look how successful or happy or like descriptor I am based off how there's no badge of honor or like Girl Scout badge for how busy somebody is, especially if it's a bunch of meaningless, or it could be more meaningful, I guess we can say, events. I've worked with couples, I'm curious if you have as well, that use their calendars. It's kind of like a requirement, I think, to be an adult and a parent in 2026 and beyond, for sure. Like there has to be some kind of communication. And having a shared calendar, they've shared it to try and, book sessions. It's like, when do you have time to live? Like you have everything booked out so far. And trust me, I'm a planner. You know this about me. I love a plan. I also have retired from overbooking and overscheduling. There was a time years ago I had no free time, or if I did, I'd panic and try and fill it because I couldn't be alone with my own thoughts, or I was still defining my self-worth off of my success and how much I could make. And, there was just a relationship with the purpose of why am I doing what I'm doing? And I know from what you've shared, you're seeing this with your clients recently too.
Yeah, I mean, recently I feel like some of the clients that I've onboarded, there is actually no room in their life for them to improve. Like you have actually scheduled yourself in such a way, and sure, you step back and say, wow, this is an incredibly high level of efficiency, but there's actually no room for surprise. There's zero room for you to do things differently. And then when we start talking about doing things differently, putting new interventions in place, there's an immediate hardline stop of like, yeah, but that's going to mess up the schedule. And to your point, like, okay, does that schedule, is that working towards life or working towards work? Because if we're talking about this is unmanageable, then why do we fight tooth and nail to keep the structure that's only supporting the thing that we find unmanageable? You know, so like something that I've got some major pushback recently is I'm really working forward with this notion of like, do not put your kids first. And people are like pissed because they're like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, no. The way that a healthy marriage exists is that a healthy marriage blesses the children, but you cannot bless children with a broken, toxic relationship.
Yeah,
and
I
so
really agree with you.
so basically, if you're in a position where you have prioritized the children to their first place in your marriage, in your life, then what you're ending up doing again is putting yourself into a position where you will never effectively change the relationship that you have. Like, because you're basically saying, well, resources are, we don't get fed first. You have to get fed first.
The oxygen mask analogy, yeah.
Exactly. Because here's the other side. Children eventually grow up and then see the hypocrisy of the relationship. They recognize that it's not actually out of unconditional positive regard or love for each other. It's completely based on obligation to each other. Like, love is not, I have said this over and over again, love is not a position of obligation. Okay. And so people will, well, but you made a vow. That's different. You promised that you were going to pursue this person. That's different than obligation. Obligation is someone requiring you to fulfill a contract.
Yeah, it's like having to do something versus wanting to do something.
Correct.
Willingness versus tolerance, and it's similar in dating. What are you wanting to do or wanting to be appreciated for, and what are you willing to do? I want to do this because I feel called to is much different than like a foot rub, for example, or picking up prescriptions, whatever, and the other person is able-bodied enough to do it themselves. Oh, can you add this on? I mean, I guess, right? I'm willing to do it.
For sure.
I don't intrinsically want to do that thing, but because I made a vow, because I love you, because of whatever, I have a duty, right? Different than obligation of like, oh, it's this, I had to. I have a duty to fulfill that. If I'm obliging or if I'm willing to do it, I might not do that, but I'll do it if my partner asks, or I'll do it because
absolutely.
Separate from I want to be appreciated for giving a foot massage and I want a partner who lets me do that every night. There's a difference of willingness and wanting. And for parents who, I think what you're picking or what you're sharing in part, for parents who put their children first at the cost of their relationship, and we're not talking about like in baby years, that's like a requirement.
Yeah, correct.
You have to sacrifice some partnership because
you have to keep a flesh blob alive, right?
We're not talking about when your kid's 12. That's much different. There still does need to be the felt sense received by and perceived by the child. I matter. I am important. My parents are there for me. It's not healthy, in my opinion, maybe you'll agree, to model a parent only ever having that one role, not only because they grow up and leave, and then what's going to happen if I don't have that role to fulfill anymore as the parent, right? If my whole identity is I'm this person's parent and I don't have to parent them the same way, who am I at the end of it? Similar, if my whole identity is only being a spouse or only being at work, this is the life-work balance. What are my other roles? It's healthy for a kid to see and know my parent will always be there for me. And they're passionate about this, and they have friends, and they have their own interests, and they have a career, hopefully that they love. For us to model being multifaceted and having multiple integrated identities is the healthier model. To your point, having a strong partnership, most anything we want our kids to learn is modeled in a healthy partnership. In my case, I can't model that. I tried, couldn't work it out, chose not to. I am still emulating the traits I hope she has, and whether or not that's with her dad is an aside. He doesn't need to be the recipient of that. We're not partnered, but he'll always be her dad. I can still carry myself in our interactions in a way that demonstrates respect, grace, whatever it might be when it's warranted. And hopefully she takes from that. For the people who are growing up with that two-parent model, what are we modeling? And that also does go near the work-life balance. If I have a shitty partnership, I'm not going to show up at work great. If I hate my job, my partnership is going to suffer and my family's going to suffer the consequence of me being burnt out and run ragged. You and I talk about this all the time with our clients.
Absolutely. I'm always blown away in the therapy space at how much fear drives our decisions in life. And so I think when I first start off and say, well, don't put your kids first, everyone jumps to the immediate extremes, right? Like, well, no, my child is supposed to be taken care of. Here's what I've seen in healthy relationships where the two of you are collaborating and working together. There's this intrinsic goal just naturally that both of you want to support your child. So your child actually isn't being stuck in the caboose of your family. It's the fact that it switches, because what ends up happening is I sit down with so many couples that have empty nest syndrome where they actually come to resent their children. So remember, the person that you triangulate,
yes,
you get a short-term benefit until at some point it switches and you come to resent that person because I did all this stuff for them. I suffered through all this, and then they aren't going to love me the way I want to be loved, largely because you've put them in a position they were never supposed to be in. They weren't supposed to love you in that way. Your children are not supposed to make you feel good about yourself. But guess what? When you're doing parenting healthy, you can't help but feel good about yourself.
Right.
Because you can see the power of your influence. You can see how you can change a child's life. You can see how you watch them grow and you watch that nurturing flourish. Those are the rewards. They aren't owed to you. That's the big difference. And that's where you can see people struggle in parenting as they go, well, I bought you the toy. You're supposed to lavish me praise.
You owe me, yeah.
You are not the God in their life.
No.
You are the person who gets to love them in their life.
Yeah, and that's such an important role. Like, I preach this all the time. The role of a parent is arguably the most important role you will ever have, because you are entirely responsible. As children get older, there's more influence, but from the core, from gestation, you are entirely responsible for that child's psyche. And it is one of the biggest undertakings, when done properly, of potential positive outcome, rather than it being, oh, I'll just get to it later. Oh, they're little, they don't make it. Oh, I don't know. My kid doesn't want to be close. I worked their whole childhood, so when they were older and more fun to play with, when I could enjoy them more because they're more of a person, then I'll show up. That is not the philosophy I recommend in parenting. You and I talk about this. Put in the footwork when they're little, when those neurons are forming, when those synapses are making connection. That is where secure attachment is formed. And Erica Komisar talks about this all the time. Prioritizing family and young life is the requirement. Work will take a sacrifice in the beginning for the greater good. That is also part of the life work balance, and how to have good partnership is I'm going to prioritize what matters. And if you are in a healthy partnership, to your point, that is where many couples split the difference. You stay home or stay home, and obviously staying at home is work, but like the part-time out of the home work and full-time in the home, I'll do more of the out of the home work and I'll still contribute at home. That's showing work-life balance.
Oh, absolutely.
Out of the home, which models for kids, okay, I matter, I'm important, I will have someone there with me as a primary attachment figure. And for families where both parents have to work, can we schedule such a way that we maximize the amount of time that we do get with our kids? Because quality time is arguably far more important than quantity. Quantity matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. If you had to pick just one, make it count. Make the quality time you get count. But because people don't look at it from a life-work balance, they look at everything through the emphasis of work-life balance. They schedule everything with work. You could be replaced tomorrow. In our jobs, it's a bit different. We uniquely work, but there are other therapists out there. We're not the only two. We can be replaced tomorrow. And if with other people, companies, they don't give a shit. You're an employee. You have KPIs, numbers, and everything else to output. And if you're not there, they'll find somebody else. Your family and your life is the one place you will not be replaced. You can be replaced everywhere else except there. And that is why I focus on life-work balance. I'm going to live my life by what matters and is going to matter long-term, not what's paying the bills short-term. Everybody has to work, obviously, to some degree, but that can't the sole focus. The sole focus is what you taught me this. What am I being experienced how I want to be experienced? And is how other people are perceiving me my intention? Like, is what I'm putting out there for that? That largely relates to the life work balance. What energy am I leading from is an important thing to ask. Hey there, listeners. Are you tired of settling for less than you deserve in your relationships? Do you ever feel like you're not being seen, heard, or valued the way that you want? Or maybe you've been wondering why you keep attracting the same kinds of people into your life, or why certain patterns seem to repeat themselves in your relationships. The answer might be deeper than you think, and you can find it in my new course. Rewire Your Relationships is a transformative course designed to help you stop settling for less than you deserve and start embodying your most confident, assertive, and authentic self in your relationships. You'll explore how your early experiences and parental influences have shaped your views on love, dating, and self-worth. This isn't just about tips and tricks for dating. It's about understanding the core beliefs that drive relationships that you attract. You'll learn how to break free from those old patterns and start creating the kind of connections that truly reflect who you are. Imagine stepping into a relationship with clarity and confidence, knowing you're attracting people who value and respect you for who you really are, your deeply authentic self. The Rewire Your Relationship course gives you the tools to rewrite your relationship story, one where you're no longer settling, but thriving. Visit taliabombola.com/rewireyourrelationships or check the link in the show notes for more.
I don't have this thing down perfect. I'm struggling with 2 kids under 3 on how I'm finding it. But something that I've recognized is when an inherent busyness comes into our life, we start feeling as if we're owed, right? Like, oh, well, I saw 25 clients this weekend. Oh, I did this thing and I did that thing. And then I'm supposed to have off time. And then there's such an obligation on that off time of like, oh no, this is when I'm supposed to be refilling my cup. This is like, I'm not getting enough to be ready to take on to that next week. And I think that that's something we have to pay attention to, is like in that life work balance, we need to really be careful about how we again implement obligation. Because when we throw in this sense of, I mean, I had this conversation with a family client where you look at their calendar and every quarter, sure, they have a 1-week vacation, but that's when they tell themselves we can connect as a family. And then they're surprised that when they go on these vacations, it's largely a week of dysfunction. It's like, yeah, so you spend, what, you're going to tell me 48 weeks of the year in which you guys don't build any personal connection? Really? You're all just moving at terminal velocity? Then you guys throw yourself in an Airbnb at the beach and you think that it's all going to make itself fine and dandy? Like we need to walk into that, because again, we start recognizing everyone comes with their own obligations. This is when I'm finally going to be heard. This is when I'm going to finally be seen. This is when I'm going to be acknowledged for what I do. And everyone comes with their own notion, and you realize you're sitting down at this family table and everyone's wanting their own meal. They don't want their own collaboration. That's not what we're looking at, what we build together. We're looking at what can I pull out of this for myself.
Yes. And the other balance of self and not losing a sense of self in partnership, in work, in friendship. We are a self long before we are a role or any other identity. That's not to say only prioritize the self. It's to support in the life work balance. If I'm running myself ragged and I'm not giving it my all, I'm giving my all, but it's draining me and I'm not showing up as my best self. Why am I doing that? For what purpose? Where did I learn that along the way? And what is that costing me? Because yes, it could be making you something in some area. It could be making you money, making you this, making you crazy. What is it costing you? Sanity.
Absolutely.
Something making me crazy costs me sanity. Something that makes me money could cost me time elsewhere. It's
absolutely
time. I've said this time and time again. Time is the one resource that you can never get back or make more of. It is the most precious, finite, valuable resource any of us will ever be gifted. And if we are able to live our life looking at it through that lens, everything else will fall into place. Understanding you can never get back and make more of it is a way to prioritize your life unlike any other. And if that thought alone doesn't start to put things in perspective, please call one of us to go to therapy, because it ought to. Realizing, and we never get enough time with the people we love, even if we were to spend every single day with them. Not that I suggest that. We all know what happened during COVID. We rub each other nuts. We need to have another life, right? We need to have things that fill our own cup. That still wouldn't be enough. Also goes to show and highlight, quality of time makes a huge difference.
Yeah, the reality is, we can't actually afford the time that we have in life. Like, if you're actually putting a dollar amount to it, and this is where I've seen a lot of clients have this wake up moment of like, I don't care if you get paid $150 an hour, you're still not paid enough. Like, because here's the other side, like to your point, every 24 hours that cost appreciates, like to the point in which, again, we can't even afford to buy our time back. And so if you can recognize the power in 15 minutes, it might also be the power of what would that 15 minutes cost? What does 15 minutes more equal?
Yep.
You know, and right now, I mean, we're relatively young, but I've seen it on the other side of things with my clients that are in their 80s. Like, I'll never forget one client, I forget how it came up, but he said, the thing that I keep thinking about is how much money would I pay for 10 more minutes when I'm on my deathbed? Yeah. And I was like, that's a fantastic idea and scary as hell. And what would 10 more minutes cost?
Yeah.
And yet we so easily skip over it. We forget to send the text. We forget to make the phone call. We forget to recognize that at the end of the day, after you've put the kids down, maybe 15 minutes, maybe an embrace, maybe a hug, maybe it's just simply having a drink and saying, how are you? Those are the things that move the needle. We're so focused, and I'll pull it out again, as a Western culture, we love silver bullets and pills. Yeah. We want to find the one thing that makes it all go away. And so we go, okay, well, if I go 4 weeks out of the year, I'm going on a vacation, that obviously will be enough. And yet I can't get these people to spend 15 minutes at the end of the day. I can't get them to spend a 30-minute meal together. I can't get them to talk.
That add up.
Exactly.
Like, yes, please go on the vacation. And there needs to be that intentionality. And I shared this with you at the beginning of the year, started actually like I've been treated for ADHD in the sense of therapy, but I started my regular like medication again for ADHD. I didn't take it for a long time. Obviously couldn't while I was pregnant. Postpartum had to be on some other stuff, and a bunch of stuff was happening that was, ironically, if I had taken it then it might have made it easier, but it all worked out the way it was supposed to. The time blindness having ADHD that was untreated, I still appreciated time the philosophical way I just described brief before. The felt sense, right? The Chronos versus Kairos. You and I have talked about that. I lectured on that. The Chronos is chronological sense. What is the numeric amount? Kairos is the felt sense of time. We could have a time with our client, so I think it's 45 minutes. We love the client and it's such great work and it's our passion, and it goes by like that. We're having a tough time. The client isn't showing up ready to do the work. We're whatever it might be. That 45 minutes feels like it's grueling. You go see a family member that you love. You want to spend all the time in the world. You go see a family member, like, oh, we have to see Aunt so-and-so. The amount of time you spend feels like you're having a root canal with no anesthesia. Your Chronos and Kairos, right? That felt and actual sense of time is also part of what can help with that work-life balance. I made a deal with myself at the beginning of the year because it felt like both of them were weighing on me too heavily. I was like, I'm just going to take my meds. Night and day difference. Was also doing acupuncture and other things to work on my nervous system to not need the medicine. My focus was better and I didn't feel like I wanted to crawl out of my body, the somatic work of it. Last couple of weeks, I haven't taken it. Today I started, or 2 days ago, I started it again. And it was like a little project of like, I can still function way better than I did before. I've learned this, but I realized the like need for the dopamine hit or the wasting time scrolling or whatever else. I now have parameters in place to set 15-minute limit on Instagram, Facebook, Amazon, Target. Like, I'm trying to buffer and safeguard. So it's a reminder of this isn't worth it, but I can tolerate, okay, I spent / invested or wasted 15 minutes scrolling on kids stuff or like how to be a better parent, toddler ideas. It's not just mindless doom scrolling. Thankfully, I don't do that. We all are guilty of that. We get caught up. Oh, it's just today. I have now done the deathbed thing, or this is where I'll go the last 7 minutes of my life. If I replay my life, I now, instead of with when I'm watching TV with my daughter, which is sparing, I don't give her a lot of screen time. When she's watching the movie, I watch her. Because it's her hyperfixation. I know spirit or whatever else. I watch her. And that's been the biggest shift, is when I'm around media or doing other things, I've always watched her, to be quite clear, but in the last couple of weeks, having not been on the meds, really intentionally focusing,
Yeah.
that's been the greatest gift that came out of it. Is I could sit there and watch with her, and that's quality time, right? We think about that as a couple. How many times do we turn to our partner and just be enamored with them of like, this is the coolest moment that I get to spend time with you? And I remember
absolutely.
with my ex, obviously the feeling was not mutual, otherwise we would still be together. And I remember longing for that feeling one day. And now that it's appropriately placed with my kiddo, or I see her be enamored with me, I'm like, I was loving right the whole time. I just wasn't the right person. All the love and the care and the intentionality and the work-life balance and the life work, but everything I've done leading up to this moment did make a difference. It just wasn't for the relationship, or the relationship I thought I'd end in, or the family I envisioned, greater than anything I ever could have expected. And I'm so grateful to have learned those lessons on the life work balance ahead of time and gotten all the peak career stuff out of the way before parenthood. You and I still have to work, but what a gift we have with our jobs.
Oh, yes.
Somewhat flexible, and being able to make a difference in other people's lives and make a living at making a difference. Japanese concept of Ikigai. Once I discovered that in grad school, something you can do that you make money at, that makes a difference in the world, that you are passionate about doing. And there's one other, I'm going to blank on it. But actually, I'm going to pull it up because I don't want to leave listeners frustrated.
Yeah.
Intersection of what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. So there's a chart of like, if it's what the world needs and what you love, it's a mission. If it's what you love and it's what you're good at, that's a mission. What you can be paid for and what you're good at is a profession. And then what the world needs and what you can be paid for is like a vocation. So you can look, everybody can Google it, and we can probably add it in the show notes. But I have found my Iki, like I have it all. I have a career and a life and everything I've built and where I truly believe I'm at the intersection of all four of those. And when people look to that as a beacon, how do I orient my life to have a life work balance, to be a good steward of my time and all the other resources I'm gifted? That's when I know that they've made it in life. Time is the most valuable resource. It's not about how much money you can make.
Absolutely.
It's the time you have to spend, the money or the time. I truly think that's where life work balance comes from.
I mean, just like the takeaway I'm having in this is I want people to walk away encouraged that you actually have the greatest resource that you need. Like, we're constantly in this idea of we're going to either spend or make enough money to get us out of certain situations. And while at times, like, absolutely additional resources would be wonderful, they're not everything. Because I know so many wealthy people who are absolutely miserable, and I know people who don't make a ton of money but have a tremendous amount of joy. And the difference is how you actually use the time.
Yep.
So yeah, there's times where I work schedules that are crazy, but I do that because I know it affords me time. I know that it affords me the ability to spend time with my wife and my kids, and that's what means something to me. And so when people look at my schedule, sometimes they can say, well, that schedule is really inconvenient because how can I, have lunch with you, or how can I do this? And I'll make the time, I'll find the way, but my schedule should be inconvenient for the world to fit in because I've already fit the things that mean something to me into my schedule.
Yep. Yeah. That is being able to have a life worth living outside of that. I think when people set up, I actually want to be at home in my life and I want to be around my life, they have more life work balance because the life part of it is enticing rather than I don't really invest any time in building the life I want. So of course my career, my work is going to feel more fulfilling because I'm setting this on autopilot. We have to work at both. There's effort and everything that needs to go into cultivating a relationship we want to come home to, a parent-child relationship we're proud of. How do I be seen as an employee or a boss or whatever role you have? It takes intentionality. And like you're saying, having people to look forward to coming home to is predicated on I'm investing in these relationships and I'm wanting to make a difference in the quality of time I get to spend with the time I have.
Mic drop.
Yeah, as we often do. So This is very affirming. I'm going to go back and listen to this episode when I need like a pick me up for it.
Oh, absolutely.
For us, as our listeners know, after how many years, like we talked about, looking at when we recorded about 3 years ago, but it's been a long journey, and I'm so proud of our evolution. Also,
absolutely,
we've stayed committed to. I need it for my soul, even if we don't. Even the weeks we meet where we don't end up recording, I'm like, oh my god, I needed to touch base. Like,
it is true.
Who gets it? Like the power of relationships, right?
Our time together is very much group therapy, right? Like we sort of sit and we process, and who knows, maybe that can be one of our next episodes is actually like, man, what would we tell the people 3 years ago? 3 years ago, life was very different for both of us.
I don't think either of us had kids.
Neither one of us had kids. Neither we weren't even like planning, and then all of a sudden, poof.
Same. Yeah, same for both. Yeah.
So
it'd be a cool, like a revisit, like a time capsule episode.
Absolutely.
Like let's do that for the next episode. We'll do a
perfect.
Time capsule. So if you like us, please tune in for next episode, definitely, to get what are those episodes where it's like you watch the show, but then they do like a behind the scenes, whatever.
Yeah, it's like the reflection episodes.
Yeah. So tune in for us for our time capsule one next time. Thank you for listening. If you like this, please share it with people. If this makes a difference in your life, even if one life can be changed from an episode, please send it to who you think it might help. I am at Talia Bombola on Instagram. Adam is at Wild Ethos Counseling.
Yep.
There's that. And if you have any episode ideas, you can DM either of us, and we will
absolutely
for advisement.
Well, we look forward to sitting down with you again.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Between Two Clinicians. We would so appreciate if this episode resonated with you, for you to share it with somebody, and also find your favorite podcast platform and like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast. We would love to attract more listeners just like you and have this message be spread to whoever needs it. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.